Hey there YouTube, this is Gundit73 making another episode of Knife Talk, and today I'll be talking about knife analogs. And by analogs I mean a design that's similar to another design. Mostly designs that are like comparable designs, but price differences is the main difference, you know. Like an example would be the ZTO 550 is an analog to the XM18, even though it's not, they don't have to be exactly the same, you know. Or like the Bradley Alias would be an analog to the Sabenza, or the Buck Strider collaborations would be an analog to a Strider. You know, I mean, people talk, I'm just use those as my main three examples. You know, people refer, you know, to those like, you know, the big three, the holy trinity of knives, whatever. Knives that everyone should try. If you're really into knives, you should try those three at some point. Um, I mean, if you were to go out today and buy all of them, you know, you could buy like the Sabenza and the SNG pretty easy. But the XM18 would be kind of pricey and hard to find. So I mean, all three of them would be around, I'm thinking $1,400, you know, for all three to try them out. That's a lot of money, you know, I mean, and especially the XM18, I mean, they go for like $600 on the exchange, on like Blade forums and on secondary websites. If you're lucky enough to live near a show and have the money and have the luck to win the lottery to literally buy the knife, then you can have one at like 385. But this ZT is very beefy, you know, and it's a Rick Hinderer design. You know, has, you know, he's using, I think Hinderer is using S35VN right now, so it's using the same steel. You know, has the same very thick frame lock, has the lock bar stabilizer, you know, and it's around the same size as an XM18, and it's only costs $200, you know. So I mean, then the other ones like the Bradley Alias, I mean, it's trying to be like a Sabenza. You know, it's basically the value version of the Sabenza. You know, I mean, it has the same, it has the blue thumb stud, everything. You know, I mean, it's down to the subtle things like that. But it's not a Sabenza. You know, I mean, it looks like a Sabenza and it feels like a Sabenza in your hand, and it probably carries similar to one, but it lacks the refinement and the pivot budging and stuff like that. You know, so I mean, obviously, I'm well aware that this is not an XM18. I'm not kidding myself. You know, some people do. They try and kid themselves. They're like, oh, well, I don't need the Sabenza because my Alias is so good. You know, well, if you think that to yourself, whatever, that's your opinion. But for me, I pretty much know the XM18 is better than this, but I just can't afford it, you know. $600 is just way too much money for one knife. But this, I mean, does everything that I wanted. I mean, it's a good hard use knife for the money, basically. And it's not like you're taking any concessions, you know, I mean, it's pretty solid. I mean, it's a really thick frame lock on there. So I'm not upset about owning this knife at all. And granted, there are some designs where, like, let's say if you wanted to try a Kershaw tilt, you can't go out and buy something that looks like a Kershaw tilt, besides a tilt. It's the only knife that looks like it, you know. So granted, not everything has an analog, but those big three do. It's kind of funny they all have knives that are similar to them, you know, because they're very sought after, so it makes sense. And I mean, I just think it's interesting, you know. My personal opinion is really not to settle. If you really want something, just get what you want to get. Like for me, the Sabenza is like my favorite knife, so even though it is expensive, like for the small, you know, I figured out a way to buy one for cheap. So really, I mean, if you really, really, really want an XM18, then at the end of the day, you wouldn't be satisfied with this. You'd be satisfied with an XM18. So that's my opinion on that, you know. If you do want to settle, there are knives out there, but I really wouldn't settle. I'd just go for it. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.